What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to episode 7 of our window shopping series. If you don't know what this is, or your first video you've watched of mine, basically this is a short series of where we check the central market, and I go over like all the prices and see what's popular, what might not be popular, and I guess overall my thoughts and opinions of a lot of stuff. So every week we do a different tab, so we've done all of these before, and then life tools last week. So this week what we're going to be going over is magic crystals and alchemy stones. I know this may not be as popular, but I'm just going to give you guys a quick rundown of what I see people using a lot, and I guess just what I use. And magic crystals in general are something that you probably use at the very beginning, or you learn how to use, but at the very late game you kind of swap out your crystals based on like how your playstyle is. They're basically extra bonuses, and it's more for like mid-tier players to end game players, where you're kind of wondering, what should I use and why should I use this? It's just like extra stats in your gear, but it is still important. It's something you're gonna have to look into eventually at some point. If you're still new, this might help you for the future, and if you're at the late game, then you probably know what you're doing, but just in case, you'll go over magic crystals first and then alchemy stones, because they kind of go together more or less. So yeah, we'll go over every tab, and we'll look at the trends, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions of it. So main weapon, there are a few options. This goes for every class basically. Your main hand is mostly going to be used for either AP, stats, or accuracy. Most people use the precisions and our Elcars in their main hand, mostly because getting extra damage penetration or like ignore resistance and accuracy is very strong. Believe it or not, accuracy is a very strong stat, especially later on in the game when you're fighting like evasion versus DR players and all that stuff. You just kind of build very specifically to what you want to do. So what I see a lot of people use, this is the best in slot, the Elcars. They are also the most expensive ones. So basically, what is the difference between precision and Elcar? So if we look at Elcar, it's 12 accuracy and ignore all resist 10%. If you are on a budget, you would use Black Magic Crystal Precisions, which is basically 4 less accuracy, but you also save about 300 mil each. So this is the budget version. This is the min-max version. I personally have 2 Elcars, and how much of a difference will 8 accuracy actually make? Depends on where you are in the gear like spectrum. If you're a mid-tier, it probably won't make that much of a difference. If you're like min-maxing at very end game, it will. You'll notice it. So other than that, I'm pretty sure most people just use precisions and or Elcars. But if you are specifically tailored to like something else, let's say you want like tier 1 node wars or just PvE, what I've seen people use is like the extra damage RBF crystals and all this stuff. It's mostly for tier 1s, and the extra damage to humans, it's really just a PvP thing. And I'm not sure if they changed it recently, but in tier 1 node wars, the way it works is your AP and DP is capped at a certain point. So for example, let's say you have 250 AP, but a tier 1 node war is capped at 230. You get 230. However, with extra damage to human crystals, it's basically going above the 230 cap. That's why you'll see people using these extra crystals for low tier node wars. Do I think it should be like that? No, but I mean, it is what it is. And then I've also seen people just straight up use like, where is it? Extra AP power ones and all that stuff. Anything else like the blue tier, it's not really worth it. So basically, even if you're a new player, getting like 3 million silver is really not that hard. You can't really go wrong with precision crystals. It'll last you literally all the way until the end game, and I mean, especially if you can't get Elcars. Like, they're basically on order at all times. Because to get them, you have to grind the Katuga area, and that one is... I wouldn't say it's an easy spot. It's something you kind of have to know what you're doing to get there. So basically, you combine an Elcar and a Precision Crystal and Force Spheres, which Force Spheres are basically sold out permanently. Ooh, I got a package in here. What is that? Oh. Okay, well, anyway. So I used to grind there. You get an Elcar crystal, and then you just combine it with a few other things. So yeah, so don't worry if you don't have the extra min-max version. Just get Precisions. They're sitting on the market. It's easy. Sub-weapons. This one's actually, like, it's not too bad to talk about because there's like more of a variety. So basically these 5 things right here is what we're going to be talking about. So for PvE, across the board, all classes, I think the general consensus is double corrupted crystals is the way to go. And even for people who like grind and PvP, in your Nuver and Kudum, you're probably going to want double corrupted crystals. I think that is just the way to go meta right now. However, if you are HP stacking or you're on like a defensive build, what I've seen people do is use Rebellious Spirit Crystals. Basically, it's a combination of these two, and then it makes a Rebellious one, and the stats are slightly higher. So, yeah, that's something to consider. I personally use a 1 Rebellious and 1 Crit Crystal, because it's basically like a corrupted one, except you don't lose DR for that, so... And you get more HP out of it. So it's something I was using for a while, and then I might just switch to double corrupted, to be honest. But, yeah, and then Red Spirit Crystals are literally the extra damage to humans one. And this is the budget one, the Crit Crystal. There's a lot, they're really cheap. And if you're a new player and just need critical damage on your offhand, just get 2 of these. They're just sitting on the market. They're really cheap. You don't have to worry about like the expensive crystals for now. I'm pretty sure playing through the story, like the Valencia and Kama Sylvia quest line, the story quest, will give you like 1 or 2 of these crystals. So if you're like a new player or mid-tier just going through the story, you'll get it. Corrupted crystals is a little bit for the late game, and you get it by grinding Star's End, but bottleneck is probably going to be your Forest Furies. So right now, the best bet of getting it is probably just buying it off the market. I know it's a lot of money, but it's something it's easier to just buy it. Other than that, if you're going health version, just go Rebellious and or try to get these. It looks like only Voltaras are sitting on the market right now. Let's see the Awakened. Oh, yeah, the Awakened, if you just put an order on it for max, you'll probably get it in like a few hours at most. Then combine those, get a Rebellious, is basically these 2 plus an extra something. Or if you want full damage, just get 2 Crit Crystals. Everything else here, I would have said is good back in the day. Nowadays, it's just not. So there are better options. We'll get to that in the near future. And you get this Black Spirit Crystal by doing the Medaya questline. Now, the Awakening Weapon Crystals are something new that they added. Well, it's not new now, but it's like the newest edition. So probably like within the past 6 months, somewhere around there. You're able to add a Garmoth's Heart thingy into your Awakening weapon, and these are 2 new crystals that go into there. You don't actually have to use them because you could use versatile crystals in there as well, but if you're looking for that extra accuracy or damage to humans and or PvE, PvP, purple, PvE, red, PvP, if you want that extra damage, it's there. Otherwise, versatile crystals like Hooms, Macalods, or yeah, I think those are it. And those can go in there for like defensive or more like straight offensive. These are more for like very specific things. So I wouldn't really recommend these right now, but I don't think they're bad. I just think there are other options that might be a little bit better. Okay, so we're getting into the armor pieces right now, and armor is a little bit different because there are multiple builds. Like, do you want to play offensively, defensively? Are you DR? Are you evasion? Are you a hybrid? And so, yeah, let's talk about these crystals for a little bit. So, in terms of something they added within the past 2 years, there are these things called Jin, Bon, and Wan. You combine like a regular black magic crystal plus a forest fury and some like magic shards, and then you can get like RNG, a Jin, Bon, or Wan. Jin is most of the time the best one to go for across the board. There are obviously some like exceptions, but for the most part, Jin is the way to go. That's why they're more expensive. So, personally in my helmet, I use 2 Whom crystals, which are versatile crystals, but when I was playing Evasion, I had 2 Jin Harpias, and because if you're playing an Evasion build, you just want to stack as much Evasion as possible, right? So I had 2 of these in my helm, so that was like 40 Evasion, an extra 100 HP, which was nice. Ignore recovery, that's like the most irrelevant stat in this game, but whatever. Next to resist are a meme. So yeah, this is the best in slot if you're playing the Evasion build. This is one of those Node Wars offensive kind of crystals. These are like the budget ones for the Harpia, and this is what you use to combine with the Forest Fury and the Shards to make one of these Jin, Bon, Wands. Everything else, honestly, these like black magic crystals, you just melt them down, and they turn into magical shards, which you use to make the big ones. So, honestly, I don't think the intimidation crystals are that bad, but you are losing like HP and a few defenses for questionable resistances. So, I don't think they're bad, but right now, like, unless these get buffed or just like resistances aren't a joke, then I think like they're better options. So the way I see things, for example, this is like knockdown, or all these resistances 10%, 5%. However, with every class, the balancing, for example, let's look at Dark Knight. Our skill is Wheel of Fortune, 1508 times 8 hits. So you're gonna, if you get hit by Wheel of Fortune 8 times, there's a chance the resistances, unless you're 100%, which it doesn't actually work like that. So in PvP, the way, I think it's like I don't know the exact number, it's between 5 to like 15%, where it's just built into the game. You can't stack past it. So, like, I don't know. There's always a way for someone to dodge an attack, no matter how much resistance, like, armor you stack. So, basically, there's always a chance to get hit in PvP. Otherwise, in PvP, or no, PvE, you can stack to 100 and it'll be fine. But PvP, you cannot. Yes, so crystals. Let's go back to that. We were at the helmet one. So basically, if you're Evasion, Harpias, PvP, you might want to switch these out. Budget versions of these. This is used to make the Bon Wan Jin. I used to actually use these, the Infinity Crystals, for experience. But nowadays, they give you so many, like, extra, what are these? Kinds, heirloom thingies. And then basically, you just, it's like the same thing, but better. As for XP. Skill XP is kind of irrelevant. Just grind more. And then all of these are not something you worry about. These are just like way outdated crystals. They used to be good in like 2016, but 5 years later, they're not. So we're going into the armors. Now, this is a little bit different because I've tested a few different ones, right? So let's start from the bottom. All of these, dim ones, irrelevant. Don't worry about them. Blue, irrelevant. Green, irrelevant. These ones are also irrelevant. Basically, what you're gonna want to look at is the top ones. So this one is the Cobalinus, which is the DR version, damage reduction. Crystals you want to look at. So this one is kind of like, it's good, but there's something that's way cheaper later, and we'll get into that. Where is it? It is special evasion right here. This one is special attack evasion rate. That is not evasion like a stat. So here's how I understand how this crystal works. This is what you would use. Every class has it. No matter if you're evasion, DR, hybrid, you're most likely using 2 of these crystals. And they're cheap, so that's good. So my understanding of how this crystal works is, let's say like someone is gonna, it's not like avoiding damage, it's reducing the critical damage that it would take. So let's say, for example, like, it's not avoiding damage, it's just avoiding the crit part of it. So you would just take reduced damage, basically. That's my understanding of how that works. Other than that, if you are a full DR version, you want to just stack HP, DR, this is the way to go. Budget versions, same. RBF crystals are all just like the offensive type. Now, I used to actually test the Dark Fang crystals. I don't like it. It's all damage reduction +7 and resistances, but again, I feel like resistances are a meme, and I'd rather have a combination of health and resists. Like, for example, the Cobalinus has HP and resist instead of just more DR. If that makes sense, then yeah, I'd rather have a combination, not just one or the other. So those are options, but honestly, low-key, I would recommend this one. Special evasion crystals for whatever you're playing, whether it's DR or evasion. So I actually do use it. And yeah, I think that's really it. Don't worry about half of these like at the bottom, aside from special evasion. All of these are kind of outdated. Gloves. There's really only one option. It's Jin Vipers, which is the gloves you kind of want accuracy, right? This one gives the most accuracy. And these are the budget ones that give 12. So you get a total of 24 if you have 2 of them, but this one gives 40 if you have 2 of them. So I would say about like 95% of players will be using Jin Vipers. If you are a class that doesn't need accuracy as much, there's a good chance you're just using some like, I don't know, meme RBF crystal or something, or I don't know, Dark Fang. But I would just say, as a general reference, no matter what class you're playing, you want to go Viper of some sort. So if that means you have to buy the budget versions for now, just keep in mind whether you're a caster or a melee. This one is caster, this one is melee. Just look at the attack speed or cast speed, just make sure to buy the right one. But if you could get Jin Viper, this is what I would consider best in slot for all classes, for 95% of you. If you're just like full tank, then I don't know, you just get something with HP or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But for the rest of us, Vipers are the way to go. Now the shoes is a little bit different because there's actually a lot of combinations that I've tested over time. So what I personally use in my crystals are 2 RBF adamantines, because at high-end PvP, it's like everyone has like super high AP and all that stuff, to the point where I'm most likely getting 1 or 2 shotted anyway. So what I could do is try to avoid a knockdown and resistance or whatever other thing. And the reason why that's good is because everyone is so geared at like super endgame. Basically, whoever gets CC'd first generally loses if you know what you're doing or fighting another competent person. And so if you can avoid getting CC'd, that's good. You have a chance. But if you get like grabbed and CC'd, it's just over. So keep in mind, this is more for a late game thing. It's not bad for mid tier as well. Other things that I've used are Histrias. I really can't recommend Histrias at all anymore. Like, they were good for the movement speed back before they added like everything else. You don't really need weight limit unless you're like this is like a life skill crystal. But yeah, so I use adamantines in my shoes. What you could do is add Hooms if you don't have like the Garmoth thingy. And the way you could get that is an adamantine crystal right here. Plus, if you do RBF, you'll get like red seals, and you combine 80 of them plus that, and you get one of these. It's pretty easy. In terms of everything else, it's not really much to talk about. You either have a versatile crystal or an RBF crystal. Now here in this last tab, we're gonna go look over versatile because this one is probably, well, versatile and a lot of people use them. So let's go over these three first because these are the same. The combined ones turn into the Hans, right? So this one is your life skill and or PvE grinding crystal. This one is a defensive crystal, and this one is full offensive crystal. Now, when you look at the Han version, basically at the bottom, it'll teach you how to combine it, and it gives you extra stats on it. So, for example, look at this one. So there's no stats on it, but at the top, this one says extra 1% combat and skill XP and 15 weight, but whereas this one does not have it. So these are things you can have a 2-piece or a 4-piece on it. I personally use 4 Hooms again. I like had 4 Hooms and switched off and switched to evasion, and then got Hooms back again as for a DR build. So Hooms actually do make you quite a bit tankier, and it's something that you might want to look at. That's why it's sold out, whereas everything else is not sold out. So yeah, I like the more defensive playstyle, especially because everyone has so much gear these days. If I could survive one combo, I could, like, it's good. So that's what I use for Hooms. And where I would put these is in your Awakening. So versatile means you can put them in any slot, like any armor piece. So what I do is I have 2 of these in my helmet and then 2 of these in my Awakening weapon. Now, if you don't have the extra money for the Garmoth's Heart to put in your Awakening weapon, you could put these in your shoes and replace the RBF adamantines that give resists, but I really think resists are important, despite what people, like, they're important if it works. But I still follow the thing of resistances are a meme in this game. And because people have abilities that can hit you like 8 to like 20 times, it doesn't matter if you have like an 85% resistance. If someone hits you like 20 times with a skill, there's a good chance you're going to get hit by one of them. So I don't know what to say. So that's why you kind of want to just have like more HP stack, not just full like DR. So like combination of stats is really good. Other than that, like, these are the really only 3 things I see people use. This is more like PvE stuff or life skilling. Otherwise, green is defensive, blue is offensive. Yeah, so I'll show you my crystals, and then we'll get onto the what is it? Alchemy stones. All right, so do you go over here? See my equipped crystals? What we talked about before, and then this is what we have on our Nuver. So I'm thinking about switching out the Rebellious Crystal for just like double crits again, and see how much they actually make a difference. So yeah, so if you want to take a screenshot of the crystals I use, go for it. Otherwise, the ones I would change, if you are evasion, you get the Harpias, the Jinn Harpias, and even as an evasion player, like, everything else is the same. The only thing you really switch out is the helmet crystals. You'd get evasion ones. And I have both the Nuver and the Kudum, so one PvE, one PvP. I'm honestly thinking about just getting double corrupted in both of them. But aside from that, if you don't have the ability to add 2 crystals into your like awakening weapon, you could always replace the Hooms into your shoes, and that's your like flex spot. All right, let's go back to fishing while we talk about this. Yes. Yeet. All right, cool. So, alchemy stones. This is going to be pretty quick. This is obviously offensive, defensive, life skill, and budget. So, we'll go over this pretty quick. Splendids are for the rich players who are beyond geared and just want the extra stats. People who have a shining got super RNG carried, and you'll never see one of these on the market for another like probably 10 years until they make something new. There's been 5 of them sold since this game came out. So chances of you getting one, basically 0. Chances of you getting a Splendid, slightly higher than 0, but still pretty bad. Chances are people who have Splendid stones are the ones who made it themselves. I don't know how much. I've never enhanced this alchemy stone before, but I've heard that the rates are pretty awful, and you're probably going to lose a lot of money, but I've never done it myself, so the rest of us will stick with Vel's Heart. This is like the end game one. Everyone uses it because it gives 3 sheet AP, and the stats are okay like on it, but it's something you could use in the meantime. Like obviously one is 800 mil, one is 10 billion. So this is actually what I used back in the day before Vel's even came out as an item. So I had a sharp alchemy stone of destruction, and you like I don't really know when you should get one. It's one of these things where you should probably get gear first before an alchemy stone. So it's one of those, like, use your best judgment. When do you think you'll need it? And I guess, like, after your full Tet armor, full Tet weapons is when you should probably think of looking into one. As for the Vel's Heart, whenever, like, okay, so this one is easier when to upgrade and get a Vel's Heart. It's whenever getting 3 AP is more than 10 billion silver. So, like, let's say you want a new Crescent Ring or something. Does that upgrade? Will you get, like, 3 AP anywhere else for cheaper? If so, get that first, then the Vel's Heart is just last. Other than that, like, you'll be fine with a Sharp Alchemy Stone of Destruction. Otherwise, if you don't, these are the budget versions. I wouldn't worry about these yellows at all. Just, like, they're good, but they're unrepairable, I think. So, like, once you use it, it's gone. So, I would just, like, if you're a new player, just get these Destruction Stones or, like, whatever. Make sure to get the blue one, not the green one, because they actually do have different stats. So, make sure to get the blue one. These are the budget version. You'll be fine with it. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. You'll notice a difference, but not that big of a difference. So, endgame is Vel's and Splendid. Mid tier is probably a Sharp, and then beginner tier is probably a Lifestone. Or if you've played the game long enough and there's a season, you can get some other stuff. So, as a thing I can show you, the alchemy stones I have are a Vel's Heart, Perilla's Star, a Lifestone, a Sharp Lifestone, and a Resplendent. I also use this one if I'm just going to AFK cook, because I have to repair this one and it's kind of expensive. So just keep in mind, for like the big high-end alchemy stones, you do have to recharge it. So like once it goes out of durability, you have to like recover it, and that's not the cheapest thing. Like it's not too bad, it's not super expensive, but it does add up over time. So yeah, here's where we are in terms of protection stones. If you can have the big boy Splendid, awesome. Otherwise, Resplendent is good, and Sharp is also good. I have a Perilla's Star, and that's like basically the PvE protection stone, but you got it from doing a season a while back, and I don't know, I don't think you can get it now. It'll probably be back in the future, but as of right now, this is the PvE protection stone, and it gives 1 sheet DP. Otherwise, if you're new, it's really hard to recommend protection stones unless you're playing a very defensive build, like you're actively building like DR or full evasion, because if I were to just come up to you and like attack you with like 300 AP, this stone will not help you unless you are built specifically for defense. So the fact that I even have a protection stone, like I use it, but not often. So like most of the time I'm just using like a straight damage one, and I don't know, it's really hard to recommend a protection stone unless you kind of know what you're doing already. So if you're just like, I don't know what I want to do, especially if you're playing a hybrid build, I just wouldn't. Just get offense if you're doing hybrid. Obviously for life skill, most people either have a sharp one, because this is the one you can buy for not like 8 billion, or the 8 billion version. And if you have a Splendid, you somehow got carried, because there's been 2 sales in 5 years. So it is a almost 0 chance of you getting one. So this is what I've used for a while. I think I actually got baited by my guildies to buying it, because I used to use the life skill stone, the spirit stone, for the longest time. And I was like, oh, it's fine. And then they're like, oh, okay, 3% more gathering drop rate. And I'm sure it works, but I don't really notice it. Like over time, if I've gathered a lot, and it's probably affected it, but like you don't notice 3% on your regular. And then I've had this way before the Khan's Heart even came out. So this is the new one. It doesn't give as much drop rate, but it does give mastery. And if you watch last video's life tools like episode of window shopping, episode 6 I believe, we talked about mastery and all the life tools you get. So more mastery is better, and I think having the extra 25 mastery beats out 1% of gathering drop rate by far. The way mastery works is every 50 it puts you into a new bracket, and you get more loot or just whatever kind of bonuses your life skill is doing. So eventually I'll probably sell this one when I get my Khan's Heart, which is hopefully within 2 weeks. I'll save up enough C coins and just get it. But yeah, if you're on the budget version or you just don't have 8 billion, sharp one, if you can buy one, oh yeah, easy. Just put an order on it and then it'll fill in like 24 hours or less. This one, not so much. I don't even think this one is relevant anymore. If you have like 5 bill to spare, just save up a little more and buy a Khan's Heart. Trust me, it'll be like overall better. And everything else here, kind of irrelevant. So, Khan's Heart, Sharp, or super budget Life Spirit Stone. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I covered everything I wanted to, showed you guys my crystals. If you have any questions or concerns, leave it in the comments, or you could join my Discord, and then you could talk to each other and all that stuff. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed episode 7. What will we be doing next? I don't really know, to be honest. I guess maybe looking at mounts and like the mount market, because that one kind of fits in with all of this. And for all of you who are interested in learning how to get a courser, or what we call a tier 9 horse, I guess I can show you that. You guys can actually watch my other videos. I do have 2 tier 9 horses. I made them both myself, and yeah, I can go over like what you need, how do you get it, and what you just do, like the step-by-step process of what we'll be doing next with mounts. And then after that, I don't know, we might be coming to a conclusion in a few episodes. So yeah, with that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next episode.